Hey, what's up? And welcome to Game Positive. Today, I'm here to talk about the War Table stream from Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics. It's the second stream related to Marvel's Avengers that we've had so far. And man, oh man, this game just keeps looking better and better. It's to the point where it's approaching Cyberpunk levels of hype. It's definitely my, I guess, second most anticipated game to close with this generation. And it's probably going to be the game I put the most time into before Series X and PS5 come out. It just looks incredible. I wanted to take some time to make a video to kind of go over all the new stuff we've learned today and perhaps kind of recap the stuff we already know, just because this is my first video on the subject. A little disclaimer to start though. I am absolutely a DC fanboy. I love Batman. I love Superman. I love DC so much. I even love the CW shows. I just love everything about DC. But at the end of the day, I love all superheroes, and you can't really be like a contributing member to society. You can't really be a member of the human race without enjoying the MCU and the incredible production that is. Like, if you would have told me when I was a kid that there was going to be like 20 plus movie saga with like the biggest stars in Hollywood, the biggest budgets, the most epic special effects, and it's going to have a concurrent story that kind of goes through the whole thing, it just would have blown my mind, because back then I'm watching like Batman and Robin or like Spiderman 3, which is just nothing compared to what we have today. But putting that aside, let's take a little bit of time here to kind of go over what we already know about Marvel's Avengers, the stuff that was in the previous trailers and announcements, just to catch everybody up. It's basically a third-person action RPG from the people that made Tomb Raider. It's going to tell an original Avengers story, which is amazing. And from all of the kind of documentaries and trailers and developer commentary that we've seen, it sounds like the people there are heavily invested in Marvel Comics, becoming human encyclopedias of all of the relevant issues, all the issues that all the fans really love. And for those people that definitely have that love and appreciation for the comics, to be able to craft their own Marvel story or their own unique story is pretty amazing. At first, I thought that we were just going to maybe fight Ultron, maybe fight Thanos, kind of retell the stories of the movies, which would be really cool because like obviously those movies are really awesome. But I'm shocked and excited to kind of see that we are going to get an original story, and it has kind of original characters too. It's the first video game or first like kind of main starring role in a video game that I think we've seen from Kamala Khan, which is kind of the central protagonist. Of course, it's a co-op like action RPG where you kind of train up a squad of Avengers, so there's more characters that you can play as, like more traditional Avengers you can play as, but kind of the central character to the story is Kamala Khan. The main antagonist is MODOK and AIM, and essentially there was a big kind of catastrophe that happened, and the Avengers are kind of on the outs. They're disbanded, and Kamala is kind of trying to put them back together to kind of take on MODOK and AIM. That's kind of not really a spoiler because you kind of get that from the trailers, but that's kind of where the story is taking place. From the gameplay, it looks like kind of almost like a Destiny mixed with Diablo, but instead of first-person shooter, it's a like action melee RPG, although there is range combat as well, depending on what hero you play and what abilities they have. It looks like more of an RPG than Destiny though, because there's multiple talent trees for the heroes. They said that there's enough variation in the skills you can unlock and level up that will change how the heroes play, so that my Iron Man may play completely different than your Iron Man. There's a gearing system, a loot system for leveling up and progression. There's customization for your characters and what they can look like, so there's lots of things to chase, as well as it looked like the weapon and gear like had some pretty, I wouldn't say as in depth as like Path of Exile or Diablo, but there's some depth to your gearing, like your status effects and the different types of perks and stuff you get on your armor. So it looks like a game that's going to have the same production values as maybe Marvel Spider-Man, but kind of trade that open world for a more instance-based action experience, but have doubled down on the RPG-ness and the loot and stuff like that wasn't present in Marvel Spider-Man. All in all, I'm really excited for it from what I've known coming into this, but leaving this trailer that specializes mostly on the beta and giving information on the beta. But yeah, so that was kind of a crash course on what we've already known, what we've learned so far with Marvel's Avengers. I want to keep that section short, but there is definitely a lot you can kind of dive into. There's a ton of information revealed about this game so far. Today, though, the War Table stream was mostly centered around the beta. So let's get into what they shared. First, though, I do want to take a moment to kind of commend the developers. The game was supposed to come out in May, and it was obviously delayed until September. But for them to keep the production quality so high with these marketing reveals, the War Table series, and just looking at the stuff that you can see in this game, it's very obvious that they've been working so hard on this game, and I really can't wait until release date so they can sit back and take a sigh of relief and just see all the fans rush in and play what they've undoubtedly spent hours and hours and hours and hours and days and years of their lives working towards. So let's keep them in mind for a little bit. They definitely are working their butts off, and all their hard work is going to not go unnoticed, because I have a feeling this game is going to really take off. So yeah, the beta. They started off the stream by kind of going over what we can expect in the beta, and the beta itself, boy, the beta itself is beefy. There's a ton of content in here. It really reminds me of the original Destiny beta, which I put like probably 50 hours into alone, just because it was so fun and so engaging, and that's the type of beta you don't really see anymore. They definitely have a lot here. They listed everything that's going to be in the beta. The beta will start kind of where the game starts on launch, which is with the tutorial kind of story springboard mission that centers around the events leading up to A-Day, which is kind of where everything falls apart for the Avengers, and the villain kind of is revealed and the story begins. They said that section is going to be full of like huge set piece moments, combat sequences, traversal, and end in a Taskmaster boss fight. After that mission, the game actually continues as it would in the launch copy, where you start playing as Kamala Khan. You start to kind of trying to build up the Avengers base and recruit some of the Avengers that have been scattered across the world to kind of reassemble them into the Avengers. That's kind of what the campaign is called, the reassemble campaign. They said there will be 2 hero missions, which is kind of one of the major ways that they tell the story. There's a chain of different missions that are centered around a single hero or a specific group of heroes that kind of tell their story that gets woven together with other hero missions and kind of progresses a central plot. There's going to be a mission where you play as Kamala and Hulk traveling through a forest in the American Pacific Northwest on the trail of the Olympia archive to track down Jarvis, which I'm assuming is a major component of the Avengers base, which kind of the Avengers base kind of acts as like your hub world, like your Destiny Tower or your Division like base of operations. They said there's a second mission that's in a remote war zone in frozen Russian tundra. The mission's called Missing Links, and it says in the mission that you're looking for shield secrets, but that mission apparently ends with a abomination boss fight, which is really cool. They really wanted to show those missions specifically because they wanted to highlight the different biomes and all the different environments you can expect to see in the game. So yeah, that's basically how the campaign is told. Like I said, with those hero missions, kind of revealing the stories of all the different heroes and interweaving them into a plot that centers around MODOK and AIM and saving the world, like the Avengers always do. But that's not all. That's not all the content in the game. There's a huge end game component, and there's some of that's going to be present in the beta. They said that there's 3 different ways that you can play end game that they're revealing today anyways, and that's harm rooms, war zones, and drop zones. Harm rooms are like kind of a VR horde mode, it looked like. It's kind of, there's a training grounds you can go in to kind of perfect different heroes combos and abilities and stuff like that, but there's also challenge rooms that vary in difficulty. Once you complete some of the challenge rooms in the beta, you'll unlock war zones and drop zones, which is kind of the meat of the co-op experience, at least for endgame or for leveling. Drop zones are kind of quick drop missions. You drop in, you have a specific objective that you have to handle. You drop in with either 3 AI teammates or 3 human teammates or a combination of the 2, and you tackle a specific objective. War zones are a little bit more open-ended. They're definitely bigger in scale. They said they can range from 10 minutes to 2 hours long, which is insane. Like 2 hours is like, we're talking like almost raid times here, Destiny raids or whatnot. But they also showed that you can kind of go off the beaten trail a little bit in war zones. They showed they called it a POI, or point of interest, where it's kind of an environmental puzzle that you solve that will give you unique rewards. One thing that's really cool that they found, that when they went through that sequence, they found a collectible, which was like a Marvel comic. They didn't actually show this in the stream, but it would be really cool if like you could, those collectibles were like issue 1 of a specific series that's centered around a specific hero that you could actually read in game, because that would be a huge gateway drug into kind of getting into the comic collecting world, especially because you're getting invested with these characters already, and a lot of people only know the stories of the movies. They don't know how cool the stories are in the comics or even in the animated series and stuff like that. So that keep an eye on that. That would be a really cool way to kind of do collectibles. I would definitely scratch every surface trying to find them all if that was the case. But yeah, the beta is coming out, they said, in August. It's going to be kind of active almost throughout the whole month. The PS4 pre-order will get the first crack at it on August 7th. Xbox players and PC players that also pre-order will be able to start playing on August 14th. And also on August 14th, it will open the beta up for all PS4 players. And then on August 21st, Xbox and PC players will be able to take part in the open beta as well. Levels and stats and stuff like that, that's obviously not going to carry over, but they did say that if you complete the challenge rooms, that you can unlock exclusive, emblems that you can carry over into the full game. So you want to make sure you do that just so you can kind of show that you played the beta and whatnot. A lot of people like collecting those things. One thing that's a little bit neat that they said is throughout the campaign, since you're going to be playing as a bunch of different heroes as you do their hero missions, as you level them up and customize them to how you want those heroes to play, when you bring them into missions as AI combatants or AI partners, they'll actually be your version of that hero that you crafted, which is really cool as well. So some of the stuff I noticed in the gameplay they showed in this reveal was that every hero has kind of their own way of traversing, which I thought was really cool. For example, Iron Man obviously can fly, the Hulk can jump extreme distances, Kamala can stretch and fling herself across different places, which really impressed me because I kind of had a feeling that the way that you play the game, like let's say X is punch and like Y is kick, and everyone's going to have a punch and a kick that's fairly similar, and then maybe there's like a couple abilities that are unique to the hero and that's it. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Like even from an animation level, like they all are very distinct, which is amazing. And they kind of interact with each other in unique ways, with higher health enemies or higher level enemies. If you get their stun meter up, for example, to a certain limit, you can actually perform like kind of a dual takedown where the heroes, like whatever heroes are involved in it or close by, will kind of attack the same enemy and finish them off at once in ways that kind of take advantage of their distinct powers. And it just looks incredible. They did mention that there's going to be higher difficulty content where you want to have a diverse group of heroes. So you don't just want like 4 Hulks, or you don't just want like 4 Brutes, kind of just steamrolling everything. You're going to want to have a balance of people that are ranged, people that can fly, people that have more supportive abilities, etc., which is really cool because that's the exact kind of gameplay that I want to see from this. That's exactly how like the Avengers fight in the movies. Like you don't see Hawkeye walking up and punching Thanos in the face. Like he's using his arrows, he's using his traps, etc., which is really cool. Speaking of Hawkeye, they actually revealed that he's going to be the first DLC character. And he's actually going to have his own kind of mini campaign to kind of explain what he's doing in this universe and how he came to get there. They said that they're basing this version of Hawkeye off the comic run My Life as a Weapon, which again kind of like is music to my ears because it reiterates the fact that these people are not just like watching the movies and thinking the characters are cool and making a game about them. They're definitely doing a lot of research, and they're putting a lot of time into the source material, which is really going to be appreciated by fans, I think. They did kind of go over their plan a little bit for the game as far as long term. The Reassemble campaign that I mentioned earlier, that's kind of your main single player campaign. It's going to be full of hero missions and group missions that kind of run a story through its courses that's centered around MODOK and AIM. Obviously, they don't tell you how that ends, but they did say that after the campaign is when the Avengers Initiative starts, and that's where the end game begins with the drop zones, the war zones, different harm rooms, and stuff like that. They didn't explain what it was, but they did say that there's other mission types called hives and boss layers. Hives kind of sound a little bit like a horde mode, but who knows. But what really like piqued my interest was when they said boss layers. So that could be a bunch of different things, but the first thing that I thought of was like raid type gameplay, like high-end end game content that would require like coordination, high-level characters, and obviously skill. It could just be a boss rush mode, or it could be like taking a bunch of different bosses and fighting them at the same time. I don't know what they're going to do with that, but just the name Boss Layer really, really got me excited. So we can expect to probably see more about those closer to launch or after launch. They said that all of the stuff that they add post-launch, whether that's heroes, regions, new missions, new war zones, drop zones, boss layers, whatever, all of that's free, which is insane. This is the type of game that you could easily justify having a season pass for, like similar to how Destiny's monetization works, but they chose not to do that. They're giving everybody all the content for free, which is incredible. There is going to be cosmetic microtransactions, but they definitely spend a lot of time talking about how there's a ton of cosmetics that you can unlock through gameplay. They specifically mentioned that there is a string of missions called iconic missions for each hero, and at the end of those missions, you'll unlock their iconic outfits, which are like some of the most fan-loved outfits for the characters, which is really cool. They also mentioned that there's going to be a tie-in with Fortnite. If you play the beta, you can unlock the Hulkbuster gloves for Fortnite, which I don't know what the crossover is going to be with these two fan bases, but that is something. So keep that in mind if you're a Fortnite player. But yeah, that's kind of everything they talked about. And to be honest, I am extremely excited for this game. Way more excited than I thought I was going to be. From the initial reveal at E3, I think last year, I thought that it looked cool enough to play for sure. The first Marvel table, I was really surprised at how kind of much depth they were going to have to the gameplay and how much of a focus they were going to make on co-op. But after this, like, I am officially like in turbo hype mode. I'm obviously super, super excited for Cyberpunk, but part of me kind of wants to wait on that game to play it from start to finish on the Series X. So with that being said, I think this is probably the game I am absolutely most excited for as the closeout game for the generation. And I really can't wait to play it. I'm actually on vacation near the end of August, so I'll probably pick up the beta on PlayStation. Definitely have some more content coming your way with this. I'm probably going to pick up the Hawkeye novel that they're basing this Hawkeye character off of, My Life as a Weapon, and give that a read. Maybe find some insight into the character, at least this version of the character from that. And I was also made aware of very recently or today that there is actually a prequel series of comics that I want to try to pick up and read, maybe make a video on and get some more insight on how the story kind of comes to be, at least leading up to A-Day. But yeah, that's everything I have for today. The beta comes out shortly. I can't wait for it. Yeah, this has been Game Positive, and remember to have fun out there, everybody, and really appreciate you watching, and hope you have a good day. Take care.